latest local news.
Next on CBS Atlanta News at 11, Tropical Storm Floyd is pounding New York City tonight. We'll have the latest in a live report. And it's being called Paulding County's worst brush fire in 5 years. It forces people from their homes tonight. CBS Atlanta News starts right now.
From CBS Atlanta, WGNX-46. This is CBS Atlanta News at 11.
It's really bad.
Tonight, the Empire State is feeling the powerful winds and punch of Tropical Storm Floyd. He's dancing along the Northeast, dropping lots of rain. And here at home, it's rain firefighters needed for this brush fire that forced 20 families out of their homes in Paulding County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Calvin Hughes.
And I'm Jane Robelo. More on that brush fire in just a moment. But first, the whereabouts of Tropical Storm Floyd. Floyd's top winds have subsided now to 65 miles per hour as it races out to sea. Here now is the latest on the tropical storm. It's been losing strength ever since it came ashore in North Carolina earlier today. Forecasters say the big threat from Floyd tonight is flooding, and lots of it. And at this hour, Floyd is centered at over western Long Island, about 25 miles southeast of New York City.
New York is known as a city that never sleeps, but not tonight. Look behind me. Looks more like a ghost town than a party town, thanks to Tropical Storm Floyd. Earlier today, the wind was whipping and the rain was relentless. Frankly, it was just a miserable day. Hurricane Floyd lost some of its punch, becoming a tropical storm as it raced up the East Coast. In New York City, Times Square was more quiet than usual. Residents and tourists opting to stay indoors or go home instead of wandering the streets. Even though Floyd is now a little gentler, the threat isn't over. Heavy rains are triggering widespread flooding across the region. In New Jersey, inmates and volunteers were sandbagging a levee, doing what they could to stop floodwaters from rising.
Yeah, move the cars out of the way!
Further south, floods weren't the only problem. On the rough seas, a Coast Guard helicopter had to be called in to rescue a man who was struck by a falling container. In Wilmington, where Floyd came ashore, residents spent the day cleaning up.
Well, it was just a big roar, wind, and the tree just fell over.
Not everyone was as fortunate. Floyd cut power to thousands along the eastern seaboard and left thousands of others homeless. He also brought the largest evacuation in U.S. history.
I'm just thankful that we were able to see another wonderful day and everything worked out fine.
Back here in Manhattan, the wind and the rain have pretty much disappeared. It is a little bit chilly, and forecasters are actually predicting that it's going to be a sunny and warm weekend. In New York, I'm Teresa Stasio. Now back to you.
All right, Teresa, thanks a lot. And remnants of Floyd is definitely making his presence felt in the Northeast. Let's go down to John Weatherby, who is at the Weather Center right now. Or rather, he's in our studio right now to give us the very latest. John?
Happy to do so, and I can update the current position on Tropical Storm Floyd. It's now near Hartford, Connecticut, and continuing to race off very quickly to the northeast. The rain has left New York, as you just heard. It's just about to finish Long Island in just a few moments. We're also watching this cluster of convection south of Cuba, due south of us here in Atlanta. This could develop into something, but it's still very early. Hurricane hunters are going to keep an eye on it. We also have Hurricane Gert, which is continuing to move now in a west-northwesterly fashion and may just curve away from land altogether. She's becoming less a threat. Everybody take a deep breath. We're going to get a break here for just a little bit, the tropical season, which will continue. So you want to know your weekend forecast. I got that coming up. Jane?
Thank you, John. Well, some 500,000 people are making their way back to the Georgia coast tonight, now that the threat of Tropical Storm Floyd has ended for our area. When they arrive home, they won't find a great deal of damage. For the most part, Floyd spared the 6 coastal counties. There was some wind and rain damage, but luckily no injuries and nothing really serious. In Savannah, some 30,000 homes are without electricity tonight, but the only loss in the historic city is the Spanish moss on the trees. It grows back. Chatham County and Savannah City employees will report to work tomorrow. Savannah International Airport and all roads into and out of the area are open tonight.
In North Carolina, Floyd targeted Raleigh the hardest. More than 150 miles inland, the state's capital felt quite a punch from the hurricane. Heavy winds and rain poured down through the night. Many low-lying areas flooded quickly, and forecasters say more damage is expected from storm surges. Many homes are still without power tonight, and motorists are also having a hard time navigating through the water-filled streets. Floyd's first victim, the Bahamas, is still picking up tonight after pounding rain and destructive wind. On Treasure Cay in the northern part of the islands, many streets remain flooded. And tonight, there's no drinking water, no phones, and no power.
Well, Delta Airlines says that you should expect more cancellations and delays as Tropical Storm Floyd heads north. The Atlanta-based airlines has canceled flights to and from Boston, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. So if you're taking a trip to the Northeast, you should contact your airline, your travel agent, or your airline. If you're flying Delta, here's the number that you can call for flight information. It's 1-800-325-1999.
And of course, we will continue to track Tropical Storm Floyd and his next move and the effect it's having on the entire East Coast. CBS Atlanta News will bring you the very latest developments on the storm. We'll have live coverage on Floyd as he heads northeast. And one more way to stay up to date on Floyd, log on to our website at cbsatlanta.com.
Well, folks keep a nervous eye on Georgia's drought-stricken woodlands had hoped that Floyd would bring some much-needed rain to the area. But that didn't happen, and as it turns out, Floyd actually made things worse in Paulding County tonight. Strong winds left from Floyd helped fan a huge wildfire, threatening at least 20 homes. About 100 acres burned. CBS Atlanta News reporter Mike Stevens has more.
The sheriff's department came flying down and said, you need to get out now.
Scary moments for several hours earlier this evening, but a sigh of relief tonight. Once this big brush fire was contained, 20 evacuated families were allowed back inside their homes. Ironically, this family had just said goodbye to relatives from Savannah, camping out on their floor to escape Hurricane Floyd. And then this happened.
We asked them if they were going to hose down any houses or anything, and they said no, and that, you know, if we stayed on our own.
Firefighters say this is the worst brush fire in 5 years in Paulding County, and especially rare for this late in the season. But with the drought and winds from Floyd fanning the flames, they had to use every trick in the firefighter's book.
Normally, they laugh at me for not getting nervous. Today was one of those days when I got a little nervous.
Among the tools they used was a helicopter from Macon, which scooped up water from a nearby lake and did an air assault on the flames, which apparently worked.
You train to do your job, and when it happens, you don't really think about what to do, you just do it.
Well, the fire is contained now, but it's not all the way out. They'll be watching it all night long. Jane.
Mike, any idea what caused this blaze?
It's actually too early to tell that, Jane. The possibility of arson has been mentioned, but that's not for sure. Their main job now is to get the fire out, all the way out, and then they can figure out what caused it.
Mike Stevens, thank you. And late tonight, firefighters say that the brush fire seemed to be getting out of hand again, but they were able to knock it down and keep it under control.
Well, still to come on CBS Atlanta News.
How many shots were fired? About 6 or 8. The guy pointed a gun at me.
At 11:26, hear more of the startling and shocking 911 tapes from a deadly church shooting in Texas.
And a simple injection could help you lose weight, but don't be fooled. It takes more work than that. Details at 11:23.
But next, a Fulton County jury is deadlocked in the case of Ralph David Abernathy III. Up next, we'll tell you what may be in store for the former state senator.
And now here's meteorologist John Weatherby with the first forecast. John?
Still have a fire danger for tonight and again for tomorrow, though it won't be quite as windy. In fact, warm days and cool nights for the last weekend of summer. That's not bad. Exclusive 7-day planner is coming up on CBS Atlanta News.
It is day 3 of deliberations tomorrow for the jurors in the trial of former state senator Ralph David Abernathy III.
Today, jurors listen to a key piece of damaging evidence against Abernathy. More on the story now from CBS Atlanta News reporter Patricia Hunt.
After 2 days of deliberations in the Ralph David Abernathy theft and forgery trial, the jury appears to be at an impasse on all 32 counts. The day began with jurors listening for the second time to a taped telephone conversation between Abernathy and Z. Bradford, the PR woman he's accused of trying to persuade to lie for him. Abernathy said, and I quote, "I showed you what I signed for in your name." He was referring to an expense report in which he told the state he'd paid Ms. Bradford $2,500 for PR work she'd done for him while he was a legislator. Z. Bradford told the court that Abernathy paid her only $300.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, the case came close to being declared a mistrial when political heavyweights like Coretta Scott King and her two sons came face-to-face with jurors during the lunch recess. Judge A.L. McConnell questioned the jury one by one to see if they could still be impartial in the case. They said they could, and deliberations continued. At the end of the day today, the jurors sent the judge a letter indicating they were at an impasse on all 32 counts. Signed by the jury foreman, the letter said, "In my opinion and in the opinion of the jury, further deliberations will not result in any verdict on any count." The 32 charges against Abernathy include theft, forgery, attempting to influence a witness, and violating his oath of office. The cliffhanger tonight is, will this trial result in a hung jury? Calvin?
Jury deliberations resume tomorrow morning at 9:30.
A new report on Atlanta's bid for the Olympic Games in 1996 is out tonight, and it shows that the Atlanta bid team gave big gifts to IOC committee members. Today in a news conference, the city's Olympic chief, Billy Payne, apologized to the community.
I must tell you that 10 and 12 years ago, the time frame of this report, we never believed for 1 minute that any of our conduct or actions were improper.
The report on Atlanta's bid is now headed for a congressional committee looking into the question of how cities pursue the Olympic Games.
Tonight, a solution for Metro Atlanta's air pollution problem. The new plan calls for emissions controls on industries in 32 counties, low sulfur gasoline year-round in 45 counties by the year 2003, and annual car inspections in 13 area counties instead of every 2 years. Now when a car fails a test, it can be retested for free after repairs. But today we found out many mechanics have trouble fixing emission problems.
I'm from California, and there the repairing technician has to be certified to do repairs. And I have not seen a certification program for mechanics here. And at some point they'll have to do that to get the quality of the repairs.
The new cost for an emissions test will be $25.
I did my own emissions test today. Beautiful, nice clean air. It's like Floyd just blew all that pollution somewhere else.
For a record low tonight?
Sure.
We might have a record low. 52 is the record for tomorrow, and we're forecasting a 52 for tonight. That'll be nice and fresh and clean, won't it? In fact, that's the forecast as we look ahead to see what you're going to have first thing tomorrow morning. Just a few morning clouds, then lots of sun and not as windy after a 52 overnight, 54 by the time we hit 8 o'clock with a sunrise at 7:22. Not a bad way to start a weekend. Clear skies now, 67 degrees, a relative humidity at 40%. North wind at 7, our barometric pressure on the rise, and 81 and 64 were the extremes that we had for today. Temperatures are cooling a bit as the wind starts to diminish too. 70s now at Snellville and Lithonia, 69 in Alpharetta and in Jonesboro, 68 Kennesaw, 66 McDonough, Athens at 66, Rome 67 degrees, and as the wind decreases, those temperatures will fall even quicker. First of all, Tropical Storm Floyd racing by New England. There are the 11 o'clock coordinates. 25 miles east of Hartford, Connecticut is the current position. I thought I'd throw the pressure number in there just because it's becoming so much more normal. And it's still racing northeast at 35 miles an hour with maximum winds now at 65 miles per hour. So the real core of highest winds is right here around the center of the storm. All these big rain bands are continuing from this radar angle. Look at the heavy rains that are falling. This is north of Albany on the Hudson Valley. New York City here at the bottom of the screen is now coming out of this rain shield. It's continuing to move off to the northeast, following Floyd very rapidly. So the rain's almost done in the northeast. Out in the central Atlantic, Hurricane Gert, less of a threat for tonight. There are the 11 o'clock coordinates. Now 1,000 miles south-southeast of Bermuda, moving west-northwest at 10. It's wobbling just a little bit. Winds are now at 135 miles an hour. She seems to be less and less of a threat to land. So when they get this big, you still got to keep track of where they're going, and we will do just that with Hurricane Gert. Back to our part of the world, the clear skies are going to allow us to cool very, very rapidly for tonight. As the winds settle down, they'll find the radiational cooling. There's not even a surface feature to be found on our map except for high pressure in the Gulf and a weak frontal boundary that's out in the plains. Eventually, that's going to organize to be our next rainmaker. But in between, we've got lots of high pressure, lots of clear skies, lots of great early fall weather. So here's your forecast. After our cool start, high clouds and 54 by 8 o'clock. Still a north wind tomorrow, 10 to 15, so it will be breezy, not as breezy as today. 70 degrees by noon, and 78 will be the afternoon high with abundant sunshine. Then your exclusive 7-day planner stays dry Friday, Saturday, Sunday, partly cloudy Sunday. Monday, there's that chance of showers, and it's late, isolated thunderstorms. Tuesday's the better chance of any rain. Temperatures stay below normal through the entire 7-day pattern, and we could have a record-setting low in the morning. Whatever you got planned for the weekend. Maybe it's the Gwinnett County Fair. Maybe you got high school football, Brookwood Park Views tomorrow night, for example, or the Cherokee County Fair. Lots of fun stuff to do outside. Go do it.
It'll finally feel like football.
It'll feel like it.
Very good. Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Well, many people are taking advantage of this beautiful fall-like weather, and they're moving their exercise routine outdoors. In fact, if you were in downtown Atlanta tonight, you may have noticed a lot of runners. They were taking part in the Promina Corporate Challenge. Promina. CBS Atlanta meteorologist Laura Huckabee takes us to the starting line.
On your mark, get set,
go! And they're off! 17th annual Promina Corporate Challenge!
And with that, 23,000 people started running through downtown Atlanta.
Pretty dry day, actually. I mean, it was pretty tough course, but, you know, not too bad.
In fact, the conditions were just right for corporate members of more than 500 Atlanta businesses to hit the streets and raise a little money.
Kind of a camaraderie thing with my company. Plus, our women's team has won the last 3 years, and want to keep going. Try to go for a fourth.
Raising money for the Atlanta Braves Foundation and the Boys and Girls Clubs isn't the only reason they do it.
AT&T coming across. Congratulations.
They're in it for the fun. A little friendly competition combined with a dash of health and fitness.
Get a good session in and meet all these crazy people doing the same as me, you know. And I think it's cool because these people, some of them, this is the only workout they do all year, and it just makes me feel good that they're out here today doing it for health.
And this is the largest corporate event in the Southeast. And by the way, spoke to the folks in charge tonight, and they raised more than $25,000.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That's great.
Well, now, of course, this weather is going to inspire a lot of us. Hopefully, I'm one of them, to get out and exercise. But it's starting to get darker earlier.
Yes.
How can we stay safe if we exercise at night?
Definitely more people are going to be running at night. And as soon as the time changes, it'll be awfully dark. One thing to keep in mind, reflectors are very good. But first and foremost, wear light-colored clothing. White is great. You'll definitely be reflecting the car lights off that. Then, as I mentioned, reflectors. I'll show you a few in a moment. And a good idea to always run in groups or pairs. That way, maybe you take up a little more room on the road. But some reflectors you might want to use that are good. These are kind of leg reflectors, and they use more of a Velcro, all very inexpensive. You can also clip on these reflectors. But if it were me out there running, I'd do the vest. You see a lot of people doing them. Anybody can wear them. You just fasten them across with a little Velcro here, and you're safe. I mean, you couldn't miss this in the dark.
And then later, if you need to do some work on the road,
you know what?
There's a reason those guys
wear that. You're ready to go.
Thank you, Laura. I'm inspired, too.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Well, still to come on CBS Atlanta News, Microsoft founder Bill Gates makes a big investment.
They'll be a great example. They'll be a leader, somebody who goes back to their community and helps encourage more people to get involved.
At 11:19, find out who is getting $1 billion from one of the world's richest men.
But up next, are you looking to lose some weight? Stick around to get the skinny on a new miracle drug.
If you see news happening, call CBS Atlanta News. Dial star CBS on your Bell South Mobility cellular phone. The call is free.
New tonight, a rabies alert for DeKalb County residents living near Tucker. A rabid bat was caught near Stone Mountain Freeway and Hugh Howell Road. Residents with outdoor pets should observe their animal's behavior closely. If you see an animal acting unusually aggressive or has excessive drooling or foaming at the mouth, contact the DeKalb County Animal Control.
Tonight, one of America's favorite game show hosts is in a Washington, D.C. hospital. Bob Barker, the CBS game show host of The Price is Right, is reportedly in good condition and undergoing tests. Barker, a longtime animal rights supporter, had planned to meet with members of Congress about a bill to ban elephants from circuses. The 75-year-old game show host has been hosting The Price is Right since 1972.
New hope for women struggling with breast cancer tonight. The Food and Drug Administration has approved a new chemotherapy drug, Ellen's. The drug is the first to be approved for node-positive early-stage breast cancer. Ellen's promises to improve chances of survival over one chemotherapy session. There are different types of chemotherapy. This is just another choice. Each individual needs to pick the best therapy for her.
Tonight in health news, an injection that can curb your appetite and help you with weight loss. In test studies, scientists are injecting humans with the protein hormone leptin and getting good results. It could be years, though, before the drug is available. But 45-year-old Jackie McCrary says she can't sit around and wait. She checked into Atlanta Medical Center to start a doctor-supervised weight loss program. Dr. Scott Isaacs says it might include one of the latest weight loss drugs combined with diet and exercise. For more information, you can click onto our website at cbsatlanta.com.
A new study shows imported flavored cigarettes from India have become popular with teenagers. The cigarettes are called Bitties. They're extremely high in nicotine, and they come in different flavors. A new study found out of 700 middle and high school students, 40% tried the cigarettes at least once. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says 16% smoke them regularly, and 8% were heavy smokers. Bitties cigarettes are more dangerous than regular cigarettes. They produce more than 3 times the carbon monoxide and nicotine. Coming up on CBS Atlanta News, 911 tapes of a national nightmare.
How many shots were fired? About 6 or 8. The guy pointed at
When we come back, the terrifying calls for help from a Texas church where 7 people were shot to death.
How many shots were fired? About 6 or 8. The guy pointed a gun at me and shot at me.
And new tonight, dramatic 911 tapes from the deadly church shooting in Fort Worth, Texas are released. The call is from a man who barely escaped the church with his life after the gunman, Larry Ashbrook, shot at him. Yesterday, Ashbrook fatally shot 7 people, then turned the gun on himself. Police described the gunman as a jobless loner who often screamed obscenities.
In international news, U.S. troops are headed to the troubled island nation of East Timor. President Clinton has ordered some 200 soldiers to take part in an international peacekeeping force. 7,500 soldiers, mostly from Australia, will take part in that mission. Thousands of people in East Timor have been forced from their homes since the territory voted to become independent from Indonesia.
One of the richest men in the world is giving something back to his community. Bill Gates and his wife Belinda are donating $1 billion towards a minority scholarship fund. The money will benefit at least 1,000 high school students each year. The fund will provide scholarships in math, science, and engineering. Lots of money there.
Yeah, good for them, and what a wonderful cause. Coming up next on CBS Atlanta News, Falcons fever is spreading in Atlanta as the Dirty Birds prepare for a Monday night showdown with Dallas.
CBS Atlanta Sports has been brought to you by GMC.
Marcus here with sports. I got a lot of friends calling me from Big D. Falcons taking on the Cowboys.
No, we hate them, Calvin.
That's right. We don't
hate
like
them.
the Cowboys.
I just said they're calling me.
Yeah, I'll tell them not to call collect. Call them collect. The Falcons quarterback Chris Chandler, he is nursing a sore hamstring. He says he is not ruling himself out of Monday night's game with Dallas, but Coach Dan Reeves says Chandler will have a long way to see some action, and that's a quote. In prime time, I tell you, number 12 hit the field today. It became obvious that his chances of teeing it up against the Cowboys is minute. Mainly, he just rode the bike. It looks like number 7, Tony Graziano, will be the starter in Dallas.
Once you're out on the field, you don't really even think about stuff like that. It's just kind of, you know, during the week, everyone talks about it. And it is cool that everybody's going to, you know, see me play around the country. But other than that, it's not that big of a deal. My other 2 starts, you know, still a young guy. I'm still a young guy now, but I feel like I have a lot more experience and I know a lot more what's going on. And I just feel a lot better in there.
Now, one of the biggest characters on the Falcons is offensive lineman Bob Whitfield. I talked to Whit today about his wit.
You are one of the characters on this team.
I'm changing that, though. I'm going for my good, stern, you know, Stone Phillips look.
For the movie?
Yeah, this is for my post-career, you know. I'm my little broadcasting debut, so to speak. So I have to get rid of all the extra jokes.
Hey, if you want to hear some of those extra jokes, tune in and watch Steve Taylor and me Saturday night at 11:30 for Eye on Sports. You'll get a Dallas Falcons preview. You'll get to see Bobby Cox, Jim Donnan. That's Saturday night, and again Sunday morning, Eye on Sports right here on CBS Atlanta. The Georgia Bulldogs get the weekend off to look at Central Florida since Georgia Tech plays them on Saturday at Grant Field. One game tonight, the first ever in the new Mountain West Conference. We go to Cougar Stadium. BYU taking on Colorado State. It is the Luke Staley show. He scores from the 1. He would later score 3 times, and it's Luke's 19th birthday. So happy birthday, Luke.
as BYU beats Colorado State 34-13, and bring on them boys.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Thank
bring
you,
them on.
We'll be right back with a last look at weather when we come back through.
One final check on weather. John.
How about a record-setting low tonight? 52 is what we're forecasting. That would tie the record. Lots of sunshine tomorrow and into the weekend.
Wow, campfire and marshmallows. That's CBS Atlanta News tonight. Thank you for making us your choice for news. For John and Mark, I'm Jane Robelo.
And I'm Calvin Hughes. The Late Show with David Letterman is up next. Good night, everyone.